doing scheme-wise or in other ways to help kind of buckle up that group?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing things all year. I mean, we've made adjustments in our run game. The way we're protecting things is different to try to give more guys help. Sometimes it limits you a little bit in terms of the formations you run or some of the route concepts you run. But we went into this year knowing that we'd have to protect those guys a little bit. And I really think our offensive staff and our offensive coordinator have done a very good job of adjusting to what we have and who we're playing with. And they're coming along. They really are. I mean, Blake Walker's getting better. Chip Robinson is getting better. Nick Tereso, for never having played offensive line before in college, is playing pretty well. And, we talk about being young, but now it's the third game and the fourth game and the fifth game, and, a young group's got to grow up. And that's where we are, is that we need to get better every game. And I think our defense, even from week 1 to week 2, I mean, we clearly tackled poorly against Troy, and I thought that got a lot better against Tulsa. And so what happens is you play a game and things pop up, and the next week in practice you try to improve those things, and you hope another leak doesn't pop up somewhere else in the pipe. So, but that's coaching. You see what the mistakes are, you address them, and you hope you're doing things from a fundamental standpoint that other things then don't pop up on you.
And kind of a related question, switching to the defense, when you're talking about limiting or cutting off the big plays, what are the things you can do? Is that more scheme or recognition or what?
I think it's just, right now in the back end of our defense, all 7 starters are brand new starters. And we're starting 3 new linebackers and 4 new guys in the secondary. And, it's not one player making a mistake over and over again. Cam Truss, he's playing for the first time. He's a freshman. He gave up a wheel route. And the guy made a great play. The quarterback made a great throw, but we can't allow the ball to get over our head. I mean, that's, the number one job of the secondary is nothing goes there. We can't miss tackles in the back end, and receivers can't get past us. And, it happened to Cam. He recognized the route a little bit late, and, do I want that to happen? No. When you play young guys, is it going to happen? Yeah, but now we've got to correct it, we've got to coach it, and it can't repeat itself. And, I thought Jovan Laycock played better. I think Keith Morgan played well again. So we got some guys that are clearly getting better, but against a team like Tulsa that runs exceptionally well, that was a challenge keeping those guys in front of us, and we did not do a good enough job of it.
What has Cameron done well to earn that start?
Just competes, really does. He just goes hard all the time. And that's the one thing we ask our guys to do is, regardless of the score, regardless of the circumstances, we want guys that are going to go out there every day and compete and go hard. And after he got beaten that one play, I thought he was challenging routes, and there were times that we gave their quarterback too much time. We did not generate a good enough pass rush, and he was really he was playing tight coverage, and he was competing and playing hard. And really the first couple of games we ran so much nickel package that really Spence was starting at the nickel, and Cameron was really starting anyways. So those two had both played a lot of snaps, and just feel Cam's playing a little bit better right now.
Would you also talk about Javon? I mean, that's a guy who's playing defense for the first time ever.
Yeah, I mean, he's a walk-on junior college receiver that's playing defense for the first time ever, and he's getting better. Every game he goes out there and plays 40, 50, 70, 80 snaps, he's a better player for it, and he certainly has the skill set to do what we're asking him to do. Now, in the back end, to be able to play 80 snaps in the last 2 weeks, we've played too much back there on defense, and part of that is we have to stay on the field more in offense, but on defense we've got to get third down stops and get off the field. And he's had some breakdowns, but he's also made some really good plays, and he's certainly talented enough to do it. It's just staying focused for 85 plays in a game, and he's not there yet, but if he was focused for 3/4 of the game at Troy, it was probably 80% at Tulsa, and we need to be 100% for Marshall.
Last year was a real good game. Things kind of fell apart early, mid, fourth quarter. Is the personnel so different? Is there anything from that game that you look back on? I mean, there was no Tyler, no Freddie. What's the same? What's different?
You know what? It's really different because we're playing with almost, it's almost all new players. And for Marshall, it's a whole new coaching staff and it's a whole new scheme. I mean, Coach Holliday is the new head coach there, and he certainly has put his touch on the program in terms of what they're doing on defense and what they're doing on offense and special teams. And so you're studying, really you're basing a lot off of 2 games, rather than when we played Marshall last year, it was the 2 games and the whole previous season you could look at. So we're dealing with kind of a limited scope. So you got to prepare for what they did against Ohio State, and you got to prepare for what they did against West Virginia. But you're also guessing what they might do, because what we do on offense is clearly different than what West Virginia and Ohio State does. So I'm sure they'll attack us differently. And on offense, we run a different defensive structure than both of those schools too. So it's a little bit of guesswork that goes, in some ways it's almost like an opener.
You get more out of the West Virginia tape and the Ohio tape than yours.
We don't get very much from what they did last year, except an evaluation of the personnel, that if you watch our last year's tape, you'd say the personnel is good. But in terms of, like, West Virginia runs a 3-3 stack defense, and that's a kind of a unique setup that offenses always adjust what they do to attack that. We're not set up that way. So, again, are they going to run similar plays, but how they block it, how they formation it, I'm sure is going to be a lot different. And, the same with, with what they do on defense. That Ohio State is very much a power football team with an extremely mobile quarterback. West Virginia runs a lot of spread runs, and we're more of a traditional spread, throw it first, less of a conventional 2-back. And so even though they've shown things on film I'm sure they're going to do against us, we're different than the 2 teams they've faced. So it's a little bit of guesswork involved in this one.
What position is Russo's?
Well, right now he's working at guard, just because we started the season that our 2 starting tackles were Tyler Donahue and Blake Walker. Unfortunately, those 2 have stayed healthy. And then Kyle Bryant is the 3rd tackle, and Kyle's healthy. Where we've been banged up is inside. That we lost Scott Lewis at left guard, and then Tereso stood up, and then we lost Ben Boychak, so now Tereso goes to center, and a true freshman, Dominic Fluellen, will now be the starting left guard. And, of our top 4 inside, now we're 2 down. And, we've got to get Jordan ready as fast as we can. And whether he can get ready this week, I don't know, but he's a very, very, he's a very bright student. If you look at our academic board, he's on the top of the list. He's in the honors program here. He's a great kid. He's very unselfish, and he's going to do everything he can to get ready. And hopefully we can get him in this week. But if not, I'm sure the following week we'll be playing him.